Almost there. Almost there, I promise. Trying to get everything lined up and working right. And there. Wow, my desk is super messy. Look at how messy that is. Everything's messy. It's because I literally just got in the door like at 3:59 to get started. Almost cleaner there. Why is it off? Something is off. There we go. Push stuff out of the way so it looks nice and clean. Because we all know it's super clean. See, look how clean that is. My office and studio is totally this clean all the time. Is that my backpack? Totally this clean all of the time. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're all doing well. Wednesday night. This is like a couple of weeks in a row now that we've been able to do this regularly, which is awesome. Yeah, I feel like that's a little bit hot. Do that. Better. Yeah, I like that better. So, hope you're all doing well. If this is your first time in the stream, welcome. Thank you for being here. The whole reason I do this stream is because I really can only answer a question the first time I see it in the comments, and probably won't be very long that I'll be able to keep up with that anymore. And then, I don't see it after that. So if you have follow-up questions, I don't get to it. But in this setting, we can have more of a conversation and chit-chat about stuff. Still feel like that's too hot. Try that. Is that better? It still seems really bright, right? Nothing seems right. Anyway, hope you're all doing well. So, if you have questions, ask in the chat, and I will try and answer. Melon asked a question before the stream started, and I'm going to answer that. It's asking if I've ever experimented with vintage lenses in making my content, and the answer is no, I haven't. Not that I haven't used vintage lenses, I just haven't used anything with vintage lenses here on this this part. So it's, I have nothing against vintage lenses. I just haven't used them. Glaciers are so enchanting. Yes, they are. Hey, One Vision, Brown and Vici, H4 Services, Alaska Filmmaker. Hello. Eddie Nunez, what's up, dude? USA Drone Flyer, loading fish mode. Love it. Cosmic, let's see, who else is in here? Drone Shots. Preston, good to see you. Mark H, welcome. Cosmic, Tech Drone, Frank. Hey, so welcome. Glad to see you here. Somebody said something about echo. Sorry, no echo. What's typos? Oh, okay. I was worried for a second there. I was like, uh-oh. Yeah, it's been a while, Cosmic. Good to have you here again. Thank you. So, yeah, ask in the chat if you've got a question. Otherwise, I am going to just talk about stuff that I want to talk about. Oh, that's way too dark. We need to up that a bit. How many of you watched the Mavic 3 video? And I'm curious to hear your thoughts about it if you did watch it. I'll leave it there, I guess. Because I was pretty happy with it. I was pretty excited how the whole video turned out overall. It was incredibly challenging to make. It took a very, very long time, like literally months, to put that together. And Preston, is that the reason? Oh, 100%. You have no idea what all of this area behind me looked like before I ran in here. So that's why you waited. That's why I have a 5-minute countdown. Literally, it gives me a chance to set this camera up mostly, and then make sure most everything is working and sort of clean. So, no, Cosmic, we just haven't had many things going on there. So, nothing new coming anytime soon that I'm aware of. Aurora looked great. Thanks, Mark. I hope it was worth waiting for. Eddie, you haven't watched it yet, Eddie? Wait, I thought you watched. I thought you commented on it. Maybe not. Yeah, if you haven't watched it yet, I think definitely, you're gonna want to watch it. It was epic. Let's see if I can. Oh, there we go. Is it showing? Oh, it is. Gosh, I love lights. And the fact that we can remote control them with everything now is just absolutely awesome. So there we go. That's good. Okay, I'll stop messing with stuff now. Paul, no, the Mavic filming the Aurora video, very, very cool. Suitcase Junkies, you want to thank me for the recommendation on the Tamron 28 to 200. Ordered one, it will be here next week. Awesome, sweet, glad to hear it. You'll enjoy that lens quite a bit. It's great. If you watch my review, it's a really solid lens. I think it's one of the better options for like an all-in-one lens where you really don't have to take it off your camera. It's a great lens. Image quality is really good. Yeah, I like it a lot. Eddie Nunez? Yeah. I thought you commented on it. I was like, man. Anyway. H4 Services, you haven't seen it yet? Well, you're in for a treat. So make yourself a cup of coffee or tea or hot chocolate. Well, hot chocolate. Something hot because it was very cold to make that video. Make yourself something warm and watch it. It's pretty spectacular, I think. Jake Channel? No, that's it. Somebody was asking about something completely different that has been a long time ago. But yeah, One Vision Aerial. The video is fantastic. So yeah, it took like, and I kind of wish I had done it differently in the video, but it took. It took all of like 3.5, 4 months to put that video together. The number of times I went out to film and nothing would happen with the Aurora or something else wouldn't work, weather wouldn't work out right. I mean, literally, like, and then the moon, and it was insanely difficult to make that video happen. Worth it, but it was very difficult to actually make it happen. So yeah, needs at least 50,000 views. I wouldn't mind if it got like 1 million views. That'd be okay with me. But yeah, I think it's a great video personally. What am I using as my webcast camera, H4 Services? I use the Sony a7S III and the 24mm 1.4 G Master lens. That's what you're seeing right now. And then up here, I have a little, so it's not exactly a webcaster camera. And then up here, I have a little DD shotgun mic, the S-Mic 2S, which is really great for environments like this. Somewhere in the universe. Greetings from Iceland. Hi. Have you guys been getting really fantastic Aurora there too? Because we've been getting some really good stuff. Last night was another great one. I missed it because we had terrible weather, but it's some really good Aurora. And yeah. Anyway. Oh. Awesome. Good. Glad to hear it, Suitcase Junkies. I'm glad to hear that was helpful for you. And yeah, it's a great lens. I keep thinking about getting one because I don't actually have one, but I've used it several times. I've rented one several times. And I'm kind of like, man, it's a really solid lens. It's really good. Preston, how do you get approached or approach collaborations? What do you mean, Preston? Do you mean like approach with other YouTubers, like those kind of collaborations, or with brands? Let me know what you mean by that, and then I'll give you an answer. Loading fish mode. Awesome. How long were you outside for? Any tips on staying warm in the cold? Nearly got frostbite flying in upstate a few weeks ago, despite wearing winter gloves. Wow, loading fish mode. So for gloves, I really love the ones I pointed out in my 5 tips for flying in the winter video. They're Valoray. They're not the inexpensive ones, but I will say I've used them now multiple times in well below 0 temperatures, and they are some of the warmer gloves that I've ever used. The fleece ones are excellent, and then the heavyweight ones are fantastic for really cold temperatures. So that's what I use. This is the first winter I've actually used them, and they've been unbelievably great because I've been out a lot. So in that video, I was outside, and we were outside for about 3 hours, 3.5 hours, maybe 4 hours. So in the space that you see that video, I went through 4 of these batteries for my A7S III, and I had one in my A1. I went through all of them. I went through 8 Mavic 3 batteries. Yeah. So 3.5, 4 hours is about how long we were out that night. And we were outside the car that entire time because the Aurora display was it was incredible. I have lots of other footage. Like I had my A1 going and I had the A7S III going when I wasn't talking to camera, just because it was such a spectacular display, and it's rare. I haven't seen an Aurora display quite like that probably in 20 years, 20 something years. It was just mind blowing. So yeah, it was fantastic. But yeah, so loading fish mode, I highly recommend Valorey gloves if you're looking to stay warm. And then I also recommend having hand warmers with you. Stuff them in the gloves. Like it every little bit helps, and that's what I do. I'll put hand warmers in the gloves. And then the nice thing about the Valorey gloves is they pop off the fingers, and you can touch, but then you just pop them back on and keep your fingers warm and stuff. You haven't watched it yet? Dude, you're going to enjoy it a lot. Wingarth. I don't know how to say your your screen name. And I don't know if you want me to say your real name, but anyway, I butcher everybody's name, so why not yours too? I guess that should be the way it goes. But Winston? Okay, Winston. Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, Wingarth here is Winston, who has been on, or was on Nurk's, Paul Nurk's channel a lot and worked with him quite a bit. He and I met up in, just happened to meet up working on the same project in Niagara Falls, of all places, and got to hang out a little bit. It was really fun. It was really cool to meet you. I hope we get to meet again. He's another fantastic FPV pilot, drone pilot, really cool dude. So yeah, if you don't know who Wingarth is, that's who he is, Winston. Anyway, it was super fun to hang out and get to know you a little bit. And I hope we get to do it again sometime. So let's see, at least 50,000 views, your TikTok, your quality. You know what? You just never know what is going to go through viral stuff and what's not. It's crazy. Sometimes I think the stuff that's going to go viral just does nothing. And the stuff that I'm like, whatever. And that's the stuff that goes crazy. It just, yeah, it's weird. H4 Services, 8 Mavic 3 batteries. Yes. And yes, they do. So, but there's a caveat to that is I had one up in the air, so I was flying the Cine, and then my friend Keith is also a Part 107 pilot, and so he was flying the Standard. And so we had 2 Mavics going, literally had cameras pointing 2 different directions and Mavics pointing 2 different directions all the time because there was so much going on, it just was hard to keep capturing everything. So I had everything going as fast as possible because it was unbelievable. Anyway. Okay, Preston, other creators. So I've reached out to other creators, generally like through other methods, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, and sort of built relationships that way and then worked on collaborating that way. Like my collaborations with Jevin, actually, he talked to me first. He and I had chatted quite a few times online, but he actually called me up one day and was like, hey, I'm thinking about coming up there for a week. What do you think we could do? And I was like, oh, we can do some stuff. So he came up and we did collaborations there. And that's how that got started. So, but yeah, usually it's reaching out and generally, especially if you're a smaller channel, when you reach out to a channel that maybe is a little larger than yours, pitch an idea. Like, you don't want to just go, hey, let's collaborate. Like, come to them with an idea of like, listen, I'd love to do a video like this. Would you be willing to collaborate with me? So I've got a long-term review of the Mavic 3 coming, and I have 4 or 5 other creators that have been nice enough. All of them have larger channels than I do, but they were all nice enough to sit down and record like a 1 minute to 1 minute 30-second thoughts about the Mavic 3 after, a year and a half. So yeah, so you pitch an idea for sure. Image photography. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. He loves RC trucks too. Nice. Suitcase Chuckies. You've been chasing auroras for 3 years now and have yet to see them with the naked eye, only through your camera lens. Actually, your first trip to see them was Alaska. Oh, I'm so sorry, Suitcase Junkies. Yeah, so like in chasing the aurora, I've been heavily focused on it for 4 years now, about 4 years. Partly sometimes for the channel, stuff you've seen here. And then also just because I have seen them, for 25 years. And every time I see it, it is still this weird, magical, awe-inspiring thing. There's something that is just so incredible about them that it's hard to describe this way. It is. And I got a lot of comments about, wow, it looks like you're really having fun, or the joy or whatever in your face is really show. And that is my genuine, like, it was just such a mind-blowing night. And me and both of my friends who were there, we were all like, when I wasn't recording Talking Head, like we were all just sitting there shouting and hooping and hollering because it's such an incredible thing to see with your naked eye. Yeah, it was really mind-blowing. So I'm so sorry you missed them when you were here. And that's the thing, is like, we have so many times where we have these amazing aurora displays. See you, Winston. Thanks, man. Thanks for saying hi. And yeah, enjoy the video. Let me know what you think when you see it. Anyway, I don't remember what I was talking about, but just the amount of times that the aurora display is going to be great and the weather is terrible, or the weather is great and you're supposed to have aurora, and then something changes in the solar wind and all of a sudden the aurora just kind of evaporates. It doesn't actually evaporate, but it just doesn't happen. It's so challenging to like get, and this is what I've tried to convey in the few videos that I've done with the aurora kind of as the focal point, or as one of the main storylines, is you are literally hoping for a perfect trifecta of a whole bunch of different factors that are completely independent of each other to coalesce and make it possible for you to see the aurora. Now, the further north you go, the easier it is, because generally the weather is more clear once you're north of the Alaska range and Fairbanks area and stuff like that. And because you're farther north, you see the aurora more regularly. The more powerful the aurora display, the further south you can see it. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. One vision. Okay. All right. MHM Photography. What do I think of the Mavic 3 Classic? So I think the Mavic 3 Classic, honestly, if you're not going to buy the Mavic Cine, which is expensive, and I totally understand that, and it's not something you're going to buy just for the fun of it, unless it's a tool that you make money with, the Mavic 3 Classic is the drone I would probably recommend overall. If you're a beginner, I would still recommend a Mini, Mini 2, Mini SE, Mini 2 SE, whatever the kind of low-cost iteration of that drone is right now. But if you are somebody who is serious about doing drone photo work and video work, but you don't make a pretty substantial amount of money with your drone, then the Mavic 3 Classic is where I would send you. It's a great drone. It's the same image quality, so like I could have done that video filming the aurora with the Mavic with the Classic as easily as I did with the standard and the Cine. So, yeah. Eddie, I wish. I wish. I really, really wish. And actually, though, on that note, not on the i3 note, but I am going to NAB here in the middle of April, and I'll only be there for 2 days because that's all I could really squeeze into and afford, frankly, with the hotel prices and stuff like that. But But if any of you are going to be around NAB, let me know, because I would like to. I like to meet up. Anyway, H4 services. That sounds exactly right. Sometime between April 23 and January 2050, the Inspire 3 will come out. I think that's right. If Ken and Billy are going, oh, that'd be sweet. I'd love to meet. Well, I've already met up with Billy once, but I'd like to meet up with again. Alien Drone say you made it to the end of the video, I guess, didn't you? Yeah. So, One Vision Aerial. You've seen it once about 25 years ago. It'll leave you speechless. Exactly. And that's the thing. Like, I try and communicate, like, and it's somewhat similar going to glacier ice caves for me and seeing the aurora is this thing that, like, it's no matter how many times I've done it, it's always this just mind-blowing experience. And I can't really explain it any other way, but it just fills me with, like, the childlike wonder of, like, what is this thing? It's so cool and so amazing. I should probably stop. I should stop there. Mark H. Saw vehicles driving by occasionally. Did any stop for the aurora? Oh, yeah, quite a few stopped. I mean, but it was so... that night was... the display was so intense, you could see them even while you're driving with your headlights on. That's why that one shot, you can see a little band of green. It was mind-blowing, for sure. What meetup am I talking about, H4? No meetup specifically, but I will be at NAB for 2 days. I'm hoping to connect with a couple of brands there that I've had zero luck connecting with any other way. Actually, DJI is one of those, oddly enough. And then I really want to meet up with other creators and meet up with a lot of other people that I've talked with a lot online, but I've never actually met up in person. So... Iceland and Norway far enough north. Those are the other two places you went to see the auroras. Did you see them there? Did you not see them there? Oh my gosh, if you went those places too. Yeah, Iceland has great. And Norway's getting a little further south, but it's not much. I mean, it's kind of on par with parts of Alaska, so you should be able to see them there as well. But Iceland should be spectacular. Like, it's one of the things that Iceland's known, like aurora. And some pretty cool glaciers, too. I'd like to go there someday. Volcanoes. We share a lot in common with Iceland. Volcanoes, glaciers, aurora. Cold. Winter. Dark. And then the inverse of that in the summer where it's bright. Mark H. Okay, so when I signed up for NAB, when I bought my pass and all that, let's see, then I get stuff like this. I get notifications like this. Hold on. Sorry. I get notifications like this. Oh my gosh. Come on. Where'd it go? There we go. Oh my gosh. This is the most frustrating. I'm just trying to get to my notifications, and I don't want you to see all the other notifications. Yeah. There. So I get notifications like this. Like right now. It's saying a really high KP index, which means it's a really good chance of aurora. So I might go out tonight and see if I can catch any more, because I would love to. I would love to get some more 8K footage from the A1 with the aurora. Anyway. Neither here nor there. Mark H. NAB. Oh yeah. So I bought my passes, booked everything, and as of that time, DJI was not on the list. But then when I looked this morning to kind of plan out the different brands I wanted to go say hi to and connect with, DJI is on the list. So I guess, I don't know. They're on the list now, and they've got a pretty good sized booth in the central hall. So H4 services, drone friendly Iceland is. So from what I've seen, Iceland's actually very drone friendly, even more friendly than the US is. Now, I don't know if that's still the case, or what you need to do to be good with them as far as their air authority. But from what I've seen, they are less restrictive than the US is. Also, probably because they have less population centers, less, just depending on where you're flying, I'm sure. Suitcase junkies. Oh, I'm so sorry. You just need to come up here for like a month and not sleep at all and go to Fairbanks. Fairbanks, North Pole area. That's where you want to be. Actually, one of the great places to see them is a place called Coldfoot or Wiseman, Alaska, which is 300 miles north of Fairbanks that you drive to, ish. But it's very clear and very pretty and very cool. Also very cold because it's way up north of the Arctic Circle. Alaska VFX or Alaska Filmer. That's. I mean, I just got the notification and the KP index is still pretty high. Let's see. I mean, according to this, like it's hitting a 6 at 7 p.m. or so, and then dropping down to a 4 by 4 a.m. So, it's a good chance. I don't know what the solar wind's doing. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe. Depends if it's dark where you are or not. Hey, Fly Zone. How's it going? DJI Analyst, cool. Yeah, right? That'd be cool. Fairbanks is where you went? I am sorry, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's... I'm out. I don't have any more advice. Other than you just got to spend a lot of time. What time of year did you go, Suitcase Junkies? But, I mean, Fairbanks is usually good. Like, that's the area. But I'm curious what time of year you went, because maybe that makes a difference. Mavic Air 2S. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think can handle surprisingly strong winds, actually. I've flown the Air 2S in like 35 mile an hour winds, 30 to 35 mile an hour winds, and it's handled it. It wasn't happy about it, but it did. All right. So just a reminder, if you have questions, ask in the chat and I will try and answer them. If I missed a question, you already asked it in the chat, then please ask it again because the chat does go by pretty quick sometimes and I don't get the chance to ask it. H4 services. How I've redone the studio, or is this a temporary setup? So I am in the process of redoing the studio. Yeah. Some of the stuff I do, I needed a space that was a little more controlled, but didn't look like a YouTube studio that I could film interviews and stuff with, and hence you see all that. That is also treatment, sound treatment, as well. It kind of does double duty. And then I redid all my storage shelving stuff over here and redid some stuff over here. So there'll be a whole video coming about my like studio makeover and studio makeover extreme studio makeover. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, so yeah. Sony was supposed to release a drone, Preston. They did. It's called the Air Peak. It costs $10,000 without a gimbal, and then whatever it costs for the gimbal. It gets like up to 12 minutes of flight time. It's not without issues like any first generation product, but apparently it's getting better. They have been improving it pretty steadily, and they basically put any Alpha series camera on it and go ripping around. Which, like, I would love to try it out. I'm not going to buy one for 10 grand, but yeah, but they did. I'll be very curious to see what they do with their Generation 2 product. I think that'll be where it's at. I still feel like this is too bright, but whatever. Nice. Alaska VFX, or Alaska Filmer. I still call you that. Yeah, it's clear where you are. There should be something happening tonight fairly early on. Like, it looks like the majority of it will be before like 1 in the morning or something like that. Okay. Well, I mean, that's generally the good time February, March is usually pretty kind of the sweet spot. January, super cold, but also generally clear. Yeah, exactly, Preston. That's the thing, like if it got a little more flight time and if it wasn't so big and bulky, I would be all over it. But yeah. Mark H. So the sound treatment is purely for echo control in the studio. It cuts down any sort of like echoes and slap back stuff. For keeping sound out, this whole room is already underground, which is very helpful. And because it has, concrete walls and a concrete roof, because above me is the garage. But there's still, like, that wall is a shared wall with living space. That wall is a shared wall with my neighbors. So what I did to mitigate sound on that is I added layers of drywall when I built this room out. So it's multiple layers of thick 5/8 drywall on the walls, and that really helps. And ceiling. I hauled 100 something sheets of 5/8 sheetrock down the stairs into this room for this, and it was worth it, I think. My back might say differently, but it's pretty quiet now. Donald Miller, hey, a little late to the party, but I have to say, a couple vids on ice caves and auroras. To say what, Donald Miller? I don't understand. I am pretty tired because I was up super early this morning, but I might not. Anyway, I assume you enjoyed them. I hope you enjoyed them. I really liked. Those are some of my favorite videos to put out, and I am pushing more that direction of more storytelling. Even with my review videos, I'm pushing more toward like having a story to tell with whatever it is. So it won't happen all the time, but I'm working toward that more and more. The story type videos are definitely more that what I enjoy making, and from the feedback I've seen, it's definitely more what people enjoy watching. Oh, thank you, Donald Miller. I appreciate that. Just go outside, no echo at all, Preston. Yes, but it's much colder outside, and people don't want to sit down for an interview for an hour and a half or 2 hours outside, generally in the winter. And then if it's raining in the summer, it's also harder. But yeah, definitely no echo outside. Also here in the summer and in the winter, actually, we have lots of little airplanes that fly around and helicopters. Bye, H4 Services. Thanks for hanging out with us for the bit. So, any other questions? Okay. Oh, so if you want to know how I filmed the Aurora with the Mavic 3. Where is my Mavic 3? That's over there. Okay. So how I filmed the Aurora with the Mavic 3, and I'll probably put together a whole video about it. Hey, Bob Casey. But one of the tricks I did tell in the video, which is lowering your shutter speed, because if you're not filming something that's fast moving, you don't need to worry as much about motion blur. And the Aurora generally is not a really fast moving subject material. It was actually fairly fast moving that night. So instead of doing a shutter speed at like 1/60, which would be normally what we would film for in 30 frames a second, I lowered it to 30 because that gave me a whole extra stop of light. And then obviously, like, I pushed the ISO pretty much up as far as it would go, 12,800 in night mode. For the hyperlapses though, because then you're jumping into a whole nother realm. The trick there is you don't want a long enough shutter speed to where your interval is like 8 seconds or 9 seconds, because that is too long for the Aurora. The sweet spot for the Aurora is really between like 2 and 5 seconds. For any time you're doing any sort of time lapse of the Aurora, you want it between 2 and 5 seconds. Obviously, that makes an issue of like how high you have to raise your ISO. And honestly, I didn't do a good job filming this, but I was guessing most of the time because the app, you don't get live feedback from what it's going to look like. So you're kind of guessing on what the exposure is going to be. You're also guessing on what the exposure is going to be like if the Aurora is not super bright, But what if it does all of a sudden get much brighter and get super active? Then you've got to sort of think about that. So what I ended up doing was I did a couple of them at 3.2 seconds of exposure and an ISO of 800. And then I did a couple of them at 4-second exposure and an ISO of 400. And then, of course, I shot everything in RAW so that I could get the most amount of leeway to edit those photos and the hyperlapses as I could after the fact. And so, yeah, I think it turned out well. Both of them turned out well. But again, you don't want to really go over 5 seconds with the Aurora because otherwise it's moving way too fast to really appreciate it. Yeah, so there we go. Reptilian research. How many times a year do I see brown bears? Depends on where I go. A couple times a year generally, but I try and avoid them. I used to do bear viewing tours when I was younger on a jet boat, and I try not to do that anymore. So, Anubis Arts, thank you very much for the super chat. Don't speak a lot on your broadcast. I want to say thanks for doing it. Learned a lot and appreciate you doing the show. Oh, thank you so much, TJ. I really appreciate that a lot. And Mark H, $50. Really, really like the storytelling videos too. Thank you very much, man. I deeply appreciate it, you guys. Thank you very much for the super chats. Yeah, thank you. That's really, I really appreciate that. Suitcase Junkies. So I guess I sort of just answered your question. The same is true on a full frame camera. I generally like 2 to 3 second intervals, maybe 4 seconds, but I like 3 seconds is kind of the sweet spot on a regular camera. And so then that's going to put your aperture, obviously. Oh, and on the drone, you want that to open it just about as wide as you can go. So depends on your lens, but like f2.8, let's say, or f1.8 or something like that. And then your ISO is, it's probably, it's going to bounce in the 800 to maybe 1600 range. Just depends. The nice thing with a regular camera is usually you can get more of a real-time preview of what the image is going to look like when you're doing it. So, yeah. And then, yeah, so 3 to 4 second interval, 2 to 3 second shutter speed. That should be about where you want to be, Suitcase. So, yeah. Donald Miller, you never saw the Auroras in person. You did some Arctic survival training in Canada, Resolute Bay. Wow, that's way up there. Plus, you got to experience 80 below. You got me beat. I think the coldest I've experienced. Wait, is that Celsius or Fahrenheit? The coldest I've experienced is like minus 77 Fahrenheit. What is that? Oh, that's only 60 below Celsius. I know Fahrenheit and Celsius coalesce or converge at 40 degrees below zero. They're the same, basically. But yeah, anyway. Reptilian research. You want to film them someday. You know the gigantic lens you need to keep a safe distance. Yeah. Fascinated with them, the danger they represent lately. Yeah. They're fascinating creatures. Oddly enough, I got to be careful how I say this. Well, I trust brown bears more. I can read brown bears. Brown bears are, and again, like I've years of experience doing bear viewing tours and being in very close proximity with bears. I can read brown bears and kind of know what they're thinking, what they're going to do. For the most part. Now, they're still a wild animal, incredibly powerful wild animal, and you have to respect them, or you might end up not living anymore. But black bears are the ones that scare me more because they're very skittish, and you just never know what they're going to do, and I just don't like that very much. So, yeah. I could tell you a story about brown bears. We have time? 15 minutes? Yeah, probably got time. I'll see. But yeah, they are fun to film. You definitely want a nice long lens. Yeah, if they're eating like salmon runs or something, then generally, so long as you don't have something that interests them more, they're they're fairly okay. Also, that time of year, they've generally had a lot to eat, so they're not angry. In the spring, when they first start coming out of hibernation, they've lost all that weight, they're very hungry, and they're very ornery. And I try and give them an extra wide berth that time of year. Good morning from Faith Scotland. Hey, Simply Scotland. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate that. I like Scotland. I've been there 3 times and loved everywhere I got to go, which is like Westport, Edinburgh, where else? A few other places. Yeah, very, very, very cool country. Oh, Giant's Causeway. Yeah, it was awesome. Anyway, if going on an Alaska cruise, what focal length lens would I suggest to pack? If you're only going to pack one, then get something like the 28 to 200 Tamron in that range is a good one. If you're going to pack 2, then like if I'm going Tamron, I'd be like 17 to 28 and the 28 to 200. Probably if for full frame, those are kind of like those. You're going to want both of those, like the focal, the telephoto range, and then also the wide. So that makes sense. Yeah. If you're going to go Sony, then I would look at maybe the new 20 to 70 millimeter, which is pretty good. And then also I don't know, it's 70 to 200, but well, probably 70 to 200. Honestly, though, if you had the money for it, I would get the 100 to 400 if you want to do wildlife stuff, because you're going to need that for wildlife. Or the Tamron. Oh, I forgot about the Tamron 50 to 400. That's a great lens. So like the 17 to 28 and the 50 to 400, or the 20 to 40 and the 50 to 400, because that kind of gives you what you need. Yeah, that makes sense. Don Miller, did I fly the GoPro drone? No, I did not. I was hoping they would get that right, but then DJI came out with the Mavic Pro, the original Mavic Pro, and I went that direction. And I'm glad, because the GoPro drone just did not work out well. But I was hoping they would get that right, because DJI needs competition. They really do. David Casada, do I think you could film it with the Mavic 2? I don't think you could film it with the Mavic 2. I mean, maybe. It'd have to be a pretty spectacularly bright Aurora display. But you could do the hyperlapses. I can't remember if the Mavic 2 does hyperlapses, but if it does hyperlapse, you could do it with that for sure. Donald Miller. Yes, they will. I'm not going to say exactly what I take with me for wildlife protection, but something like that. Sony 1635, 35 to 150, and the Sigma 150 to 600. Preston, that is a great trinity. Honestly, dude, yeah, I can't really argue with you there. That's a great trinity, great options. Suitcase Junkies, have I ever thought about doing a workshop? Yes. And I am still considering one for this coming summer. For anybody not in the state of Alaska, it'd be it wouldn't be cheap, honestly, but I have considered doing it. So, and I still am. And if I do, I definitely will put a video out about it, because I'll probably limit it to 10 or 12 people. Because when I was talking with a helicopter company, because that would be part of it, is going out in helicopters to someplace. 12. Let's see, 12. I think it was 12. 12 was the sweet spot, because then we're talking 4 helicopters, roughly. More than that, it's basically 9 or 12. It's where you kind of end up. So, but I don't want to do more than 12, because it gets hard to really have that personal connection with more than 12 people. So I think 9 would probably be ideal. Jay Chill, what about the 24 to 105 f4 Sony? That's what I take with me 99% of the time. most of the videos you've seen me on my channel lately, unless they're really low light, have been with the 24-105 Sony. It's a great lens. Yeah, and that's right, Preston. If you don't need super low light performance, then it's a really solid lens. I keep hoping they're going to come out with a version 2. Like, I would love for them to come out with a version 2. I would really like that. Mike Abuse, you would ask that question, wouldn't you? So I'm using a DDS Mic 2S, which is right here, just out of frame. And that's a little short shotgun mic. Works great in an environment like this. Of course, this room isn't that like echoey or anything, but it works great in an environment like this. And I'm running it through a universal audio. What do they call this? It's the Volt 76. So it's their little audio interface. But what I loved about it was they put an emulation of an 1176 in there for compression. So you dial that into kind of where you want it, and then boom, you're good to go. Although somebody keeps messing with my dials. Anyway, so I really like it because it has that, 1176 compression just a little bit. And it works good. I like it. I just lowered that too much. Anyway. Let's see. Been backpacking around Black Bears and Mammoth Lakes area. Felt quite personally comfortable watching tourists from Bears, David. It's not a good idea. You don't know what bears are going to do. And even little black bears, pretty dang strong and can do quite a bit of damage. The other thing that could happen, like up here at least, because I do want to go out and film polar bears. So I'd love to go film polar bears up in the Arctic. Polar bears are 100% apex predators, and they know it. And so if you're around, you're on the menu, which means you've got to be very cautious about how you get around them and how close you get around them, because they eat anything that moves. Anyway, I turned down too much. I was peaking a little bit over here. How's that? Better? Yeah, see there, I'm peaking just a little bit. There we go. That should be good. Anyway, so yeah, now that goes out of that straight into USB-C into the computer and then streams out from there. I also have which I've thought about using. What is this? It's the Universal Audio Twin 610 preamp. But like, it's a little overkill. It's really overkill, to be honest, for this sort of stuff. Preston, no, it's the Volt. I think it's the Volt 76, 176. They make a couple versions of it. Volt 176, yeah. It's a Volt 176. It's a little USB audio interface. I wonder if I could show it here. Nope. Oh yeah, that's right. There. Let me see if I can show you guys. It's a really great little. It's a really great little interface. Of course, I don't want to do it upside down. Let's see. Well, there we go. So that's it right there. And it does a really nice job because it's not only an audio interface, but it's also a monitor controller. So that's what I use to control the volume on these guys. And now I gotta put this back how I had it. Well, you guys all get a really unpleasant view. There we go. There we go. I don't think I need that on anymore. So yeah, anyway, great little one. I did like my studio desk setup video, and I think I tagged everything in there if you want to see that in more detail. Flying the lower 48, you carry drones, batteries, etc. Told us before. Yeah, I carry all that on with me in a Pelican case and a backpack. Yeah. Huh, Donald Miller. Interesting. Micah, definitely a little bit overkill. I'm very happy with the way this sounds. I'm very happy, especially with a compressor built in there, the emulator. It's nice. It's great. And basically my old monitor controller died. The PreSonus Studio Central thing that I had, it died. It finally quit after, 10 years. So I had to replace it, and I wanted something. I'm like, well, everything's USB-C now. I don't need that as much. Like I only have my main monitors. That's it. So I went with that, and I'm really happy with it. It's a great price for what it is. It's super solid. Hey Keith, welcome to the stream. Shutter Speed Ireland. Hey, welcome. Looks retro. Yeah, I think that was intentional on their part, Preston, because Universal Audio made still makes some of the greatest professional audio gear out there, both from like microphone preamps to signal processing equipment like compressors and all that. And they make some of the best. They make really good interfaces with computers and yeah, they make some great stuff. So I really like I've always really liked their stuff when I was working in studios. And so, yeah. If they could just put an LA2A in there, which is one of the great classic compressors they used to have, that would be fantastic. Hey, Casey Quad. Let's see. So, Shutter Speed Ireland, you got a new Mavic Cine sent to you by mistake. Oh. And you had to send it back? Like, that's sad. But did you get a new drone? Is it all good now or what? What happened with that? Oh, good. I'm glad to hear you got night mode. I was thinking about that the other day actually, if you were getting night mode or not. Do I think Sony is launching a new APS-C photo camera this year? I do. I think they will. Some point this year, I think they'll launch a new APS-C photo camera this year. The rumor right now is the next camera they're going to announce is like a ZV-1 or ZV-E10 sort of size, like a little camera. That was the ZV-1 that I was using earlier. But full frame. Be very interesting if they do. I'd be very interested to see what that has if they do that. So thank you, Bob Casey. Yeah, hit that like button. Like and subscribe for more content. Is that what the kids say these days? Oh, it makes me sound so old. But, all right, so if you have questions, ask them now because I do need to wrap the stream up fairly on time tonight at 5. But yeah, if you haven't watched the Mavic 3 video about the Aurora, you definitely want to go watch it because it's spectacular, if I do say so myself. And I do. Kind of a newbie. Excuse me, left behind at times, but I'm curious. Sync more than one. Capture, different angles from the same scene. So like in the studio here, I do it a lot where I have multiple cameras and I sync them up later in post via the audio. Like, I'll set a clap to sync, makes a really nice big spike in the audio, easy to synchronize them up. For like this right here when I'm doing this, and then I have, I turned it off. Of course, I turned it off when I was going to demonstrate that to you. But I have an overhead angle as soon as it decides to boot up. There we go. Overhead angle. And that's all run through a little mixer board I have down here. So cool. Yeah. Mark H, I don't know. We talked about it once, and then I think COVID happened, so that kind of waylaid everything. But yeah, he's always welcome to come hang out with me. Preston, you're getting ready to do a 20-day trip along Florida Panhandle and up South Carolina, North Carolina coast. Can experiment with only taking FX3 14 1.8. Ooh, jealous. 135 1.8. Also jealous. Great lenses and a GoPro. We'll see how it goes. That's a great thing to do, Preston. In fact, I'm going to do a video pretty soon about like limits and limiting yourself to one camera, one drone, and go out and film everything with just those two things. Because I think it's I know probably almost everybody in this chat is already a sub. I've done it before, Donald. I did it with the Mavic 2, I think. I did a video about it. It's kind of cool. It's neat. It gives you a perspective. Very neat. Buenas noches. See you, Alaska Filmer. Matrice 30, I have not. Shutter Speed Ireland, thank you very much. I will do exactly that. I appreciate that a lot. Oh yeah, let me turn that off. Oh yeah, there we go. Clarify those cameras are the ones you got on the drone. Oh no, I don't do that. Anything I do with drones and I like synchronize it up, that's much more difficult. Basically, you have to like put yourself in the view of both cameras and do a clap where you can find the point where your hands connect or something, and then synchronize it visually. It's very much more difficult to synchronize that footage. But you can do it. It just takes a lot more time. So, and what I do when I'm doing that, anytime I'm going to do that sort of thing and synchronize those things, is I let the cameras run the entire time, because then you only have to synchronize one shot instead of like starting and stopping, because then you have to synchronize every single one of those, and it's much more difficult. Yeah, Mark, Soda is Final Cut, and it's fantastic, and I do that a lot. Do it, Preston. Do it. I do that a lot too, honestly. Like, I do. Success, maiden success. Nice, Casey Quad. I was tuning. I redid. I did. It's upstairs. I put Betaflight 4.4 on my 7-inch rig, and then tuned it up this morning, and got it. It's flying so good. I cannot wait to go out and do some stuff with that thing now. It's so great. It just is awesome. I need it. So the next thing is I got a few parts that arrive this Saturday, I think, and I'm going to put the O3 air unit on it and something else. I don't remember what the other thing I was going to do, but I'm going to put something else on there. I think I'm going to put a buzzer on there finally, because I'm always out there. Anyway, but yeah, glad to hear you got something flying good. Awesome. I've heard great things about the Speedy B 405. That's a really, really good one. Donald Miller, that would be amazing. You're welcome. Lanaikiva? I know I'm probably butchering your name. Sorry about that, but thanks for chiming in and asking. I appreciate it. That's what the whole point of this stream is. Blue Jay 48 kilohertz. I don't do Blue Jay, but I do have mine set at 48 kilohertz because it really does. It's nice. All right, Preston. A little jealous of you. Have fun on the beach. Balance filmmaking with personal life, Suitcase Junkies. It's a challenge, and I don't do the best job out of it all the time. But I generally I try to be home, have dinner with the family. We take one day a week that is like we've called it Family Day ever since my kids were little. And that's like the day where we're just together as a family. We don't work. We don't do anything. It's just a chill day. So, yeah. And usually that's the day, if we're going to eat out that week, we'll go eat out that week or that day. Or if we're going to do anything special, we'll try and do it that day sort of thing. So, yeah. And then when I've been gone for a long time, when I've come back, I've made it very intentional about taking the first few days after I come back from a long trip, whether it's a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks sometimes, to just be here with my family whenever they're home. So, if they're in school or something, it's different. But, yeah. Loading Fish Media. Do I ever get a chance to fly the Aspire? A lot. I get the chance to fly the Aspire a lot when I travel, actually. Any plans on trying to fly the Inspire 3 when it's released? Absolutely. It's probably going to be really expensive, but I think that I will end up flying it. If it's released this year, I'll probably end up flying it this summer sometime. And for work and stuff. So, and if I do, then I'll definitely be doing a video about it because, content. Oh, nice, Casey Quad. That, yeah. Very, very nice. So, All right, folks, that is going to wrap the stream up for the day. I need to get going, and it's a little bit later than I was supposed to go, but I like hanging out with you all. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thanks for hanging out. Mark H., how much do I think these Fire 3 will be? Yeah, I think it's going to be around 20 grand, all said and done. Like, I think the drone will be like 6 to 7. But then as soon as you add a camera package or anything like that, the price is going to just go up. Yeah, landing spot. You'll do great though. You already have the fundamentals there of exposure, framing, all that. That's a huge part of it. So anyway, thank you all for being part of this channel. For those of you that sent me super chats tonight, I really do appreciate it a lot. Thank you very, very much. New video will be coming tomorrow, I think, unless something doesn't go quite right in the edit. But, yeah, other than that, thank you for being part of this channel, for hanging out with me tonight, for watching the videos I put out, and for commenting, liking, subscribing, all those things. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, same time, same place next week. Till then, cheers everybody. Be safe, be smart. I'll see you again soon in the next video. Bye.